This ain't a live that I'm gonna keep very long, um, because we have a live that we're gonna get into tonight about the impact that Dr. Bill Cosby had on the black family and why I think that's very important. Um, a lot of what we're gonna be talking about, maybe for the next few weeks on Mondays, is just family structure. I think it's okay to have critiques of pop culture, and I think it's okay to have a lot of discussions, the different types of discussions that we have that have nuances and layers, and sometimes it's a debating style, but it's time to go to a teaching style, um, and teaching from experience and eras. Um, it's important to know your history. It's important to know your history. It's important to know uh, where you come from and all the ups and downs of your lineage. You have to understand that history is important because history allows us to not go back to places in time where it wasn't so pretty, just to keep it in layman terms, sometimes seemed like we were under tyranny. In many cases, we were, depending on how far in the past you go. And when I mean we, I'm just me. I'm talking about humanity. I'm going to bring this home. But you have to study. If you don't learn from the past, then you really can't affect the future. You will stay in a cycle. I want to say this. What's happening in LA is dangerous. What's happening there is very dangerous. And I think it's dangerous because it's not just a protest of American citizens against the government. It is a protest against the federal government for doing its job. And I think that is ultimately a problem when you look at the situation there. Man, I'm not finna get into that take emotions out of it, because at the end of the day, this is the United States of America. Why have we forgotten that? This is the United States of America. There are rules that are in play. There are rules to be set. You have states, and that's just really in a federation. The United States is the umbrella. The United States is supposed to protect the people, and that's actually what they're doing. You have to understand that. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what I don't care what you associate yourself with. You have to understand that the United States uh, is a country, and it's made up of 50 states that it covers and takes care of for its citizens. There's a constitution that is supposed to be the supreme law of the land that really lays out a pretty basic way of running government to prevent several things. Even when you look at citizenship is discussed in the Constitution. It is. It's discussed as in how someone may get, citizenship. There's some arguments on certain things, such as 14th Amendment birthright citizenship, which is a big deal. Um, and then there's just all sorts of information in regards to the Congress. They are supposed to come up with an effective way for naturalization. This is in the Constitution. If you are here illegally and you are operating as a community illegally, that could pose a problem. That could pose a huge problem, as it has now. And that's what this is about. This isn't about race. This isn't about black or brown. This isn't about white or black. That's why black people aren't speaking up, because we know what racism is. We understand racism, and we've experienced some sort of racism or prejudice from all groups who aren't black. This is why many black people can say, we'll sit this one out. And it has nothing to do with your race. It has nothing to do with any of that, because that's what we get told. That's the whole DEI thing. Hey, you can see, we don't need affirmative action. We don't need affirmative action because you need to be hired off. This is a meritocracy. Black people understand struggle. We already understand what it feels like to be a subjugated group. So everybody's trying to have the same subjugation that we have had in the country. And we've been told essentially that we have to get our own stuff together, which is what we're doing. We talk about that here on this channel. Why do you think that we would look at your situation as the same? That's insensitive of you. It's really insensitive of others to think that black people should be aligned or attached to these movements that really aren't aligned with the betterment of our own people. No, what we're saying is, okay, we've already established that we're all Americans, right? We're all Americans. That we fought for citizenship. Y'all have to understand that the descendants of the African slaves fought for citizenship. They didn't have nowhere to go. They didn't have anywhere to go. You got to understand that people do not have any type of cultural alignment on who they really are. Even if they were to be indigenous, they were enslaved in a chattel slavery and just don't know who they are. So they fought for citizenship. It's not the same. So all of this crap about, oh, we're all illegal. No, we're not all illegal. You need to know your history. Yes, Mexico did have Texas to California. That was very true. But that was lost during a war. One of the major parts of that was Texas becoming a republic. Do you know what happened? Okay, let me school you a little bit. The country of Mexico did not allow slaves. This is very true. And they were actually against it. But they let the Anglo-Saxon in to fight off Native Americans. Now you have to understand that Mexico is a European influenced country. So it too participated in getting rid of Native Americans. But when the Anglo-Saxon comes into Texas, he brings slavery. He brought slavery with him. So when he came into Texas, he brought slavery with him. He began to take the cotton and do all what he was doing. Of course, America had his eyes set on it, and guess what it did? It it intercepted it. It annexed it. They beat Santa Anna. You have to understand. I want you to understand that the Republic, you get into Texas history, the Republic of Texas defeated Santa Anna. And I believe the rest, as far as like California, and I'm very, I need to brush up on this part of history, was eventually purchased in some kind of way. But no land from the country of Mexico was stolen. We must be clear that they came and invaded and took over the country. That's just what happened. The Anglo-Saxon came in and took over the country, or the landmass, and formed it and made it into a country. And he had a lot of diabolical means and ways of doing this. But at the end of the day, over time, because of our alignment and belief on what this country is supposed to be about, and it became the foundation of our beliefs, Constitution, our freedom of speech, and all of these things that these guys said, hey, God has given us this. We have this. We don't need to be under a monarchy. We don't need to be under any type of totalitarian government, anything like that. They developed these set of laws that all men have fought to have. We must understand this. So again, this is the United States of America. There is a way that we want to operate here. If this were an egregious act against American citizens, then we'd have a problem. And that's what happened in the 60s. You stop saying that African American people were fighting as though they were illegal immigrants. Black people were not fighting as illegal immigrants. Black people was fighting as American-born citizens. And American black people were being told that they could not participate because of the color of their skin, because of their lineage. specifically American black people. That is not the same as what's going on with illegal immigrants. Please, you do not use our movement to represent you. It does not. This is historical fact. You can go Google. You can go. A lot of y'all need to brush up on your history, but us as black Americans, our struggle is not your struggle. You do not know. It's time for us to now, black people, make the separation and that distinction, because we are indeed natural born American citizens. There's a reason why we're here and why we got here. You can't be deported, but you also fall under the laws of the land. You also fall under the laws of the land, and don't think that the law has always been kind to us as a people. It has not been. It has been disproportionately bad for us. So when you hear me talk a pro-American talk, it's not because I don't understand that. I talk a pro-American talk because the black has been fighting to be fully participant in the American dream, because he is indeed an American-born citizen. So, no, black people do not have to be aligned with the immigration policy as it would be preferred by the left, because it doesn't. Because we can be having difference on that, because we're American citizens. We own. This is about resources. This is about resources. This is about who. The reason why those forefathers made it very difficult to become a part of this country initially was because what they could have. What they could have. So they made it pretty difficult. The issue was all men are created equal. So all men who are citizens, no matter their color, no matter their belief, should be able to have, you know, all the amenities of being in a country like this. That was the thought process. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come in. Y'all hit that like button for me, man. Y'all go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, say hi. What's up? What's up, Billy? Linda? I know y'all trolls. Cause I'm waiting for the real ones to come in. I'm just give me some activity since y'all trolling. You cannot have a country where you have immigration as large as it is, because it can become a national threat. That's just this is not a racial thing, because you have Latinos who are natural born American citizens and they can't be deported. And it's more than those that aren't. And so I think there's also this idea that this is some attack on even our Latino brothers and sisters. No, because many of them are here, and many of them have internal conflict, just like black Americans have internal conflict. So there we are aligned. But where we cannot align as a community, Latino Americans, black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, whoever is an American citizen, we cannot allow open borders. We can't just let people come in and do what they want to do, because I want y'all to understand this. Those are foreigners. I don't care if there's a next door country. Those are foreigners going against the government, and that is a problem. So if you're under the assumption that the government is supposed to come and protect people that aren't citizens from what? You think they wanna come protect them from what? No, the American, I'm a veteran of the Navy. I was in the Navy. I understand that you have to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic. Y'all don't understand that. Y'all got it messed up. Now, yes, in the 60s, during the Civil Rights era, Lyndon Johnson, I want to break this down. Listen, y'all, there's a lot of people online trying to break stuff down, reading ChatGPT and all that to get their ideas from. If you ain't done no real studying out here, if you ain't done no real homework, if you don't have no real information, you ain't opened up a real book, you haven't really went out and tried to go get no real information, you just talking a bunch of crap. Because all this stuff can be fact checked because it's basic knowledge. It's stuff that you learn in high school. And you can put it together yourself if you read the news and keep up with history and just kind of to pay attention to politics. Yes, the Anglo-Saxon may not be happy that the country has diversified in such a way that there is not high percentages of whiteness everywhere. But please understand, there is still major white control because they did found the country and they have a lot of the money. That's not racism. Has racism been a technique by certain groups of that tribe to oppress? Yes, but that's why we fight for the Constitution to do its job. Because remember, at its core, we're all created equal. We're all equal men. You should not discriminate. We should all have an opportunity to work. We should all have an opportunity, and as American citizens, we have the right to protest. Now, illegal immigrants have the right to have freedom of speech and protest and all that. But they can be detained and they can be deported because they have some rights. Yes, America grants certain rights to even people who aren't supposed to be here because we're supposed to represent being humanitarian. But we do not have to allow you to stay here once we realize it could potentially be a problem or national security. This is not a racial issue. This is a nationality issue. And that's what we have to understand. And the more that we collectively understand that now, we will all be effective. But please, please, please understand that when I'm addressing black people, I'm addressing the black condition as black American citizens. My dad's side of the family is from Texas. Do you know there were slaves here? The chances are very high that as far as on that side goes, they had been here hundreds of years. I already know on my mother's side we had been here hundreds of years. My family is Louisiana Creole on my mother's side. I'm a black person who represents the American tale. And what do I mean by that? Anglo and Saxon influence, African slaves being here, the Native American being here. There's all sorts of people that were here. Yes, the Native Americans were invaded. The Native Americans put down a fight for as long as they possibly could. You have to understand that ancient America was here, guys, for thousands of years. Let's talk history, man. I'm not reading off Chat GPT, and no disrespect to Justin Scott, but bro, you got to speak from your experiences, man, and use Chat GPT as a tool to maybe help you put that together, but you can't read verbatim. I'm not reading verbatim. I'm telling you what I know. The ancient, go look up, you know where you go find this stuff at? When you go to college. So when I went to University of Houston, and I took when you take a, I would say a college course in history, you learn some stuff. And when you look at this landmass, there were natives here for thousands of years. They had a civilization. There is some evidence. I haven't read anything up on this in quite some time, but I think there is some history that points to the founding fathers learning how to set up the government from watching the Native Americans. They saw they had tribes. They saw how, you have to understand, in order to be a civilization of an ethnic group of people that was on a landmass for thousands of years, there were wars. There was fighting. There needed to be an order to come about. They had to figure out how to make humanity survive, or how that community could survive. This is not an Anglo invention. This is fairly new for whites. This does not take away how effective it is what they do, but I just need y'all to understand everything isn't about racism, and the conversation is shifting from racism and going into nationalism. Who do you represent? So if we represent the United States of America, there's a way we want to operate. That's the fight. The fight is us in here in the United States saying how we want to operate. But I'm telling you right now, illegal immigration cannot and will not be the fight that needs to happen. That needs to be mitigated fast. It's just what it is. And the illegal immigrants argument can't be, oh well, the land was stolen. No, first off, you don't even determine that because you're not a country. You can't determine that, and history says otherwise. It's pretty confirmed. So you need to just no. Mexico was not stolen. Listen, man, I'm from Texas. I'm from Houston. I got brown, black love. That's why I say it's not a racial thing. I think Houston is a city that really exemplifies how black people and brown people get along. This is not to say that there won't be any indifference. This is not to say that there won't be. And I think Texas has done a really good job of exemplifying that to the country because of the history. It's the South. A lot of those people, you have people in Texas that had been here. And they were part of the Republic and they became citizens and they've seen slavery. They've seen segregation. So they have a different understanding. This is not to say that they won't align at times with, ethnic lineage. So again, this is not about race, but also let me say this. You cannot use the African Americans' history to make an argument for illegal immigration. It's not the same thing. And you cannot use the Anglo-Saxons lineage as a argument for illegal immigration. Because listen, many people are going to hear what I'm saying and they're going to be like, he's a coon. They don't even understand what I'm saying. Many people are going to hear me and going to say, oh, he's pandering. He's having a proximity whiteness. No, I'm not. I'm breaking it all down for you. Because in our country, we do have an issue where there are Americans of a certain ethnicity that say, I'm proud to be this and that's just what I am. And they're well within their right to do that. They're American citizens. So if we feel that that's an issue for us, then we as American citizens will address that. And we as American citizens did. The African slave had nowhere to go once the Civil War ended and slavery was over. Many of those people had been here generations by then. So America had a problem. And you know what they did? They went ahead and made it to where the states could not prevent these slaves from becoming American citizens, naturalized. They had to naturalize them because slaves were being born and black people was having children and they had nowhere to go. They had to make this an issue. Slavery, listen, please do not be fooled that was one of the biggest conflicts we had in American history because it made us a lot of money. You're talking about a country that is 250 years old. It is indeed a world power. Gotta know your history. The conflicts that we have in the United States of America amongst citizens, that is what we must understand. Black Americans were saying, we are United States citizens and we're spending American money. We need American jobs. We helped found the country with you, even though we did it under an oppressive state. So we fought to be first. You must understand that before they fought to become citizens, they had to fight to be recognized as human. So once they were fought and to get that in the legislation, then you could move to the next thing, citizenship. Your fight is not the same because you've come here illegally. Because we too, Black Americans, even in an oppressive state, even when we didn't want to, we had to make adjustments to the federal government. And if we would like to see certain things change, we have to do it politically. But we're going to do it politically as Americans. We are citizens. You cannot allow a place to be overran by people who don't have allegiance to your country. Even in an oppressive state, the black fought for the revolution to be free in America. Yes, the Anglo-Saxon was horrendous to us, but we had to fight him. And I'm gonna tell you this. We had to, yes, it was violent, but we were American citizens. So the federal government stepped in during the Civil Rights era. Lyndon B. Johnson, who was indeed racist, he said the N-word more times in the White House than anyone. He had other Southerners like, wow. But he understood that he needed to get his country together by fixing this issue amongst his citizens. Well, what was one of the biggest things you think could have happened had they not made the Civil Rights Act happen? Well, one issue that no one talks about is communism coming in. So the idea of communism, a lot of black people began to pick up on the ideology of communism because they didn't feel like they could exercise democracy in full. That's a problem. You can't have American citizens now adopting this form of government or this ideology, because then what can happen? It's politics. It didn't mean that segregation necessarily ended. It ended legally, but it did not mean that there wasn't financial disparity. It was. But he could not allow a group of people in his country, no matter how national security becomes a thing. We have issues that we fight in this country, yes. But our issues here aren't necessarily a geopolitical issue. We have bigger fish to fry. And we can't allow people to overrun our country and take over our nationalism. This could be a terrorist issue. I don't know if you guys are paying attention. This is a pretty serious deal. This is a pretty serious deal. This isn't an average thing. I'm trying to paint the picture that this is not about. This is the thing that America wants to prevent, and it has the law to do it. If you understand America, you may not like it. It's not perfect. It can be corrupted, like most things. But at the end of the day, there's legislation and laws that must be followed. And if they break them, if they're caught for breaking them, they will be held accountable. And if they're not doing that, then the people can definitely have an uprising that are American citizens. Because our allegiance is to this country. When you learn the history of what's going on, it'll take away that emotion that steers you in the wrong direction. Well, I'm just glad you have the knowledge. Yeah, I mean, most people are getting their news off TikTok and probably here on YouTube. But TikTok is providing a lot of that. You know, if you want if you want really great commentary from people that could deliver that to you, this is a great place to be. Nothing beats YouTube. But as far as like a lot of the news, TikTok pretty much has that in the bag. And I just think people are looking at this and going, oh, oh man, everybody stand up of people of color. Like, no, we can't do that, because that's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is a United States of America versus a foreigner issue. You have to understand what's happening in regards to other countries that would love to take us over. You have to look at the possibilities of other people being here from other countries that mean us no good. I'm just not gonna make this a racial issue when I know it's not that. And this whole concept of, oh, well, black people, you're gonna be next. What you mean next? You didn't just pay attention to the last couple hundred years? What do you mean next? What do you mean we're next? We made it out of slavery. We made it into Jim Crow. We made it through the crack epidemic. AIDS and everything else. What do you mean? What do you mean? We've been coached up, taught much about what oppression is for so long. Y'all can't sway us. Even though our voices, y'all like to use them. No, we don't want to use it. Simone Biles, ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself. And it's a great thing that those black women are tearing you up on Twitter. Because how are we confused on who women are? You don't even know what a woman is? Like, I want y'all also to understand something. I hadn't really talked no politics on this channel in a while, and that I was doing it, and it was getting a lot of traction. You know, for those that tap in on my relationship conversation, I've even told him, y'all gotta hit the like button, y'all gotta hit the notifications, y'all gotta subscribe, because I don't think the algorithms want these type of conversations where you really have to think. And we're not gonna be just in conflict over here, regardless to where. Everybody is welcomed here. No matter where you come from, you can come here and talk, but we're gonna talk the truth. You won't get turned away. Now, if you trolling, I'm gonna get rid of you. But if you're in here just to learn and pick up on the information, and we can kick some knowledge, you can be here. But here you're going to hear things that are stern and in truth. Why do we think, I'm progressing a little bit, but I want to talk about the American dream, the American ideology, and where is it going wrong now? We're in a place where, Simone, you really would be okay with men participating in sports with women? Like, we're so far gone that becomes, well, that's hate speech. No, it's not. We're not saying, I do not believe that someone of an alternative lifestyle should be harmed. Again, remember we were talking about citizenship. What does the United States of America grant you? It grants you the right to not be harmed and you're a citizen. Yes, you are a citizen, but we don't have to authorize or recognize changes of who you are. That's something different. But you can't get harmed. We don't believe in that. We don't want to have those type of things going on, but we don't have to agree with your lifestyle because we have freedom of speech. That's not hate. Now, you can't compare that to ethnically, someone the way they were born, meaning that you can see it externally. You don't even get to know and talk to this person, or anything that's just going to sway the way the natural world works. We have the right to say, hey, we're not going to put that in the law. So the fact that you have women now that are pretty much going unprotected, and what I mean by unprotected is the more the left continues to drive home that they want to have this alternative universe of people, real women are going to be in harm's way. And a lot of people felt that way. Listen, I voted for Donald Trump. I catch a lot of flack. For that, being an American black man that voted for Donald Trump. But this is what I want people to understand. You have to look at this world and think about what's going to be most problematic and what's going to be the least problematic. See, I understand racism. I'm from the South. I can deal with racism. Black people understand racism. I'll take that. What I can't deal with is the unknown. When you begin to tell people that they can be something that they're not. When you come up into this world where you're having men that are growing up that look like girls all of a sudden. They're getting better at this because they're doing it to these younger kids. Adults, when you talk about adults trying to do it, okay, I'm going to get you out of here, man. All that hell Satan stuff. I told y'all that was going to come. Once the trolls come, it's what it is. Adult men who try to have these surgeries, you can tell. And really, for the most part, for a lot of these men, you can tell. But the younger that they do it to these kids and give them those hormones, they will have softer features. So what about our young kids who've never seen real women? They're gonna perceive these beings, which are men, as women. That's dangerous for a society. You can't do that. So if you don't think that that played a big role in the mass amount of people that voted for Donald Trump, then you're delusional. Also, even Latinos are included in this. Donald Trump told you he was going to do mass deportations. Donald Trump has told you that he was going to do mass deportations, and people agreed. Y'all mean to tell me in the last 5 years y'all can't see the influx? Now listen, we've always had, I want to put this in perspective. We've always had Mexicans here. Always. We understand. We've seen that Mexican flag fly here. It's not uncommon to see it flying places because we know we have Mexican Americans here, or people that are descendants of Mexico. Here's where things get different. I don't remember a time where we had a bunch of Venezuelans, people from Honduras waving their flags, even here in Houston. We've had Mexicans. I want to put this in perspective. This ain't about race. When you look at them right, and I'm sure LA is always, they got it first, so they've had different people from different places. But when you look at the immigrants coming in now, it's a lot of different countries. It's not just Mexico no more. And they waving their flag. And they all colors. And it's like in the last 5 years, I'm just like, man, I don't remember it being that much of this over here. I don't remember. It's different communities getting set up, and they cannot speak English. They got to talk to you through Google Translate. They cannot speak any English. They do not and here's the other thing. Because of what they make, they can either go into a low-income neighborhood or create their own, projects or whatever the case may be, and they run it a certain way, and they don't have to speak a lick of English. That can be very dangerous when it happens way too much in a country that hadn't really been the case. Yeah, it's been pockets of places like that. If you go down to South Florida, it's kind of like that. But those people have adopted being American. Because guess what? It's still a conservative place. Certain places, even though there's a high Latino population, they still become conservative. Why do you think? Texas is one of them. Oh, they thought this mud was going to turn blue. It ain't. And a situation like this going to really force it red. This is what the Democrats don't understand. When you are not actively trying to balance the world out with your politics, and you're trying to do evil things, you force a nation to go red like this. You force a nation to become conservative like this. That's what you're doing, because you are doing things that people don't necessarily like. As a whole, you're doing things that people don't necessarily like as a whole. Well, what's one of the things, again, allowing immigration to such a high level like this, along with other things. This has been here in Angola, Indiana. Someone bought an old house and put up a giant Mexican flag across the National Guard armory. They got raided. I mean, hey, listen. I feel the same way about the Confederate flag. I feel the same way about the Confederate flag. Now, those that want to defend the Confederate flag still can argue and participate in this world in a way that an illegal can't, because guess what? The descendants of those that were part of the Confederacy are naturalized American citizens. They were American citizens to begin with. They just seceded from the Union. I'm trying to put this in perspective. I've covered the entire playing field. Ain't nothing came out racist, prejudiced. I kept it real with white folks. I kept it real with black folks. I kept it real with everybody. Everybody got real on here. There is no, this is better. Yeah, white nationalism is a problem. White nationalism may even get some stretch as far as getting to do things, but they're going to be very limited because of the law. It doesn't matter if they denounce it. It doesn't matter if they want to just be white good old boys and say they're not going to say anything bad about it. They're not going to allow that. Even if they do, there's so much that can be done. There's so much. We definitely don't want internal conflict. So this is where black people or anybody that's thinking like that, you need to stay out of this. This ain't about race. I guess that's my point. I guess that's my like final point. This ain't about race. This ain't about race. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's not about race. This is about nationalism. Who's an American citizen? And it's always been about that. The reason it's always been about that is because it is about. Are you feeling me, Billy? I'm just saying. I know I'm going in. I didn't even expect to be on this that long. But this has just been such a big deal on the news. So I wanted to cover that. If y'all just tuning in, though, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate that because I definitely want YouTube to recommend this channel and conversations more. Hold on, man. I gotta get a troll up out of here, dog. But yeah, I just really want to cover this because, and I'm gonna do it a lot more. I think there needs to be political understanding amongst all ethnic groups in the country that are an American citizen. That's what we have to understand. Like if you're an American citizen, there needs to be an understanding amongst us. For sure. Because my allegiance is to the United States of America. My allegiance is to the United States of America. This is where I'm from. What you want me to do? You want me to side with who? I'm gonna side with America. I was in the military serving with racist white men. I knew they were racist. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not finna denounce who I am. I'm not finna deny my history. I'm not finna not say I'm black because you racist. See, I'm not gonna coddle how he feel. I'm a man too, and my ancestors fought for that. But it does not mean that when he get the cracking, I'm not fighting by his side. Why? Because he want what I want. And he and I are entitled to the same thing according to the law. So me and him got a situation where me and him can have a situation. But if he got a situation with something that's in opposition to our country, I got the same situation. See how that go? If you Latino American, when I was in the Navy, I served with Latinos who were Americans. They went and fought for the country. So I'm gonna fight for him like he gonna fight for me as a citizen. Y'all gotta understand, man. The great John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Well, what would you do? I'm sure John F. Kennedy woke up right now and seen people waving flags from other countries in his country, he would be astounded. I understand that he's white. See, this is where black people kind of get me upset. Well, you supporting white people. I'm supporting the United States. That's where we from. That's where we live. We had to fight against them as citizens to get what we got. That doesn't mean that he has to like me. That doesn't mean that someone doesn't have the right to be prejudiced or racist. But what they cannot do is commit crimes because of it. So yeah, I'm in understanding who set the country up. I'm in understanding of how we got the Civil Rights Act passed. I understand this. If you are Chinese American, whatever American you are, if you're an American citizen and your allegiance is to the land and to the Constitution, then we will fight for each other as citizens, but we will not protect illegal immigrants. I don't care about your, racial attachment to that. If you have internal political concepts and ideas about what's going on in the United States, again, ethnically, as it pertains to whatever you are, black, white, whatever the case may be, as an American citizen, let that be the case. But you can't have no situation where there's an entire group of people coming in who are not citizens and essentially running amok. They are throwing rocks at police vehicles. Do y'all understand what can happen if America buckles? Y'all play too much out there. Got people on here trolling. You got people just coming through. Some people, who knows, just shit, hit the like button. Hit the like button, dislike button, don't matter. But a lot of y'all ain't taking this very serious at all. If I gotta break what I got going on to come talk about this, and other people kind of breaking the script to talk about this, it's letting you know this is something serious, man. And we ain't even got out the first year of the presidency. But y'all gotta wake up. These are people from other countries, bro. This ain't nobody from. This is not the regular smegular programming we have when we have internal conflict. No, these are people from other places, and I'm gonna be real with you. They really don't know who these people are. They really don't know who these people are. Waving these flags, and all of a sudden, as an American citizen, I'm supposed to look at this and be like, "Oh, they're oppressed." No, they're not. They're from another country. They're not oppressed. They're not oppressed. They can come spend money, make money. They can come put up a food truck. Dog, they over have food trucks, businesses. And listen, this is not to say that people can't come get a piece of the American dream. You can have a food truck. You can have business. You can do all of that. But you can't be here just living off the government. Or you can't just be here not really fully participating or acting, as though you don't plan to really become a citizen. You can't do that, man. There's just no way. There are instances where people are receiving benefits. How are they receiving? Y'all are saying that we don't have this money to give our own people. So how are you giving benefits away? The Democrats, you're making a big mistake. I mean, there are so many political opportunities for you to just come back and get some things right, but you just refuse. It's like what's going on with the governor in California? What's going on with the governor in California? Like, why is he not trying to get this to stop? Y'all don't see how, this Newsom guy, dog, is terrible. I just think he's a terrible guy. He may not even have all that type of power, but You're not even trying to get your people to stop. And then the mayor, oh, we want you to do it peaceful. They not trying to be peaceful, man. You should be locking them up. Okay. Are these people getting locked up? It's just the feds locking them up. The sheriff talking about, oh, we just here to help. What? Or they can't stop the feds. They can't stop the feds from doing what they... Man, listen. I believe if that happens anywhere else, people gonna be going to jail. If you do that somewhere in the South, you going to jail. That shit wouldn't happen here. I don't think it'd happen in Texas. I do not think. And if it did, then that's why you can't let this shit get out of hand, dog. You can't. You have to stop this right now. This gotta end. This has to be over with. This has to be done. Because that shit gonna spread. People gonna be trying to protest. People and without real historical context. I know how we got here. But how we got here don't matter. This gotta be fixed. This must be fixed right now. Because if we don't get a hold of this, if we don't get on top of this right now, and this begins to fire up and spread around the country, that's a problem. That's gonna be a problem. And that's a problem that we don't want. You don't want this to get off into a situation where American citizens are getting involved. And then it's hard to tell. That's not... This could get morphed into so many different directions if we don't band together as Americans and say, we're not supporting that. Y'all don't understand that. Listen, bro. I'm a light-skinned black dude. I done been mistaken for Dominican and all other kind of ethnicities because I'm light-skinned. So I understand that these people resemble us in some way. And sometimes racist white people can't tell the difference. But the one thing that we can make a definitive claim on is we American citizens, and that's what we rocking with. I don't know, man. This wasn't what they say on the bingo card. This wasn't really... I wasn't expecting this. And I understand how dangerous this could be. I understand it. I think this is a good time to expand political conversations. This is a good time for people of other ethnicities to say why they believe in something. This is an opportunity for people to say, yeah, I'm black, but I'm American. Yeah, I'm Mexican, but I'm American. Yeah, I'm Indian, but I'm American. Yeah, I'm indigenous, but I'm American. And this is our land here, and this is how we want to operate here. And we can have political discussion about this. I think this is a great opportunity to see diversity in America and why it's so great. It's just what it is. And yeah, we may be having conversations with someone who's white, who doesn't necessarily subscribe to anything that we got going on as people of color. And I don't like saying people of color because I want to make the distinctions. But at the end of the day, no matter what you identify as, if you're an American citizen, if you was born here in the United States of America, then your allegiance got to be with the country. And this gives us now we can talk about a wide range of things. You know, if you can be Democrat, cool, but we not chilling on that side because we feel like a lot of what they're doing is just detrimental to society. And we can look like you can be whatever. You don't have to just be a white MAGA person to say that. See, here's the other thing. There's diversity amongst the voter types. Just because I voted for Donald Trump, I'm not MAGA. I don't rock with that shit. I'm not trying to be in no country club playing golf. I'm not trying to do that, and I have all the right to do that. I'm not racist. I'm not prejudiced. I'm just in proximity of people that look like me. But that doesn't make me less American. In fact, all those that are around me that look like me are also American-born, natural-born citizens. This is not about, again, this is not about race. And listen, I'm going to say this too. I can't speak your language, man. I can't speak your language. It doesn't mean I don't like you. But if I let that come in mass and we can't get hired, we can't get jobs, we can't, stop using this excuse that these people work harder than American citizens. That's not true. They don't work harder than American citizens. American citizens want to be paid fair wages. Remember, the argument has always been about fair wage. No, you as a company cannot exploit my work. You've already done that. The country already got rich off work exploitation. They was getting slavery for free. If they could, them motherfuckers would work you for free. But we had to say, nah, we not finna do that. We don't want to be exploited for our work. So what do you think when immigrants come here and they can send money home, or they can live in the most, minute way, and it's nothing against that. It's nothing against simplistic living, because here's the other thing too. A lot of those communities do be clean. I've seen them. A lot of those, a part of my business is driving around the city. So guess what? I've seen other communities and how they look. It's not to say that they're not well kept, but they can undercut wages. They can come work for cheaper, and that's a problem. That can be a problem for the American citizens that are here. When you talk about this, we talk about this middle class disappearing, but you're not looking at those that can come work for less and build communities off of that. Listen, humanity's gonna always thrive. You're not bigger than the program. So if they're coming and they're undercutting wages and things like that, that's an issue, dog. That's the issue. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come on in, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate anybody giving a like, anybody hitting a like, hitting the subscribe button. We talking real right now. We talking about real politics in the United States of America. Donald Trump wasn't playing. Donald Trump wasn't playing, dog. He put in action, and I don't think that's fascism. Y'all gotta understand what fascism is. That's not the same thing. The man is not the man not in any way is doing what Hitler did. Man, we live in this world where you can't even say real words on like these platforms, or they'll ban you or shadow ban you. Where you can't even say real things, y'all. Like, that's not a world we need to live in. We need to be able to say what we want to say. Now, should things be, I would say, like, have discretionary language to it, or only be available for certain age groups? Of course, that's why we have laws and legislation. But the freedom of speech, the freedom to say things needs to be there, always and all the time. At the end of the day. Now, but I'm gonna say this too. I mean, yeah, we knew. Listen, those of us that understand what mass deportation is, was the level we were looking for, and we knew that this was going to be a issue. The Biden administration let an astronomical amount of illegal people in. Like, you can see it. We all can see it. We know that this is happening without any type of discretion. And of course, I think the goal was always to morph these people into voters for the left. That was always the case. The left said, we can let more people in we can replace black voters, because black voters don't even matter that much, and if we're just being honest, because we don't we showed you in this last election that when the black voter collectively voted, which was a lot of votes, it went to the Democratic Party, a lot of it. Now it did in most recent years, it did split more than it ever had, or I would just say there are several of us that departed, like myself, that voted for Donald Trump, but a lot of the collective primarily went Democrat. That's still a large and important voting group, but it showed you that when it's alone in its stance, it's not as valuable as the Latino vote. The Latino vote is very valuable because of the numbers. What they did not expect was they did not expect for the Latino voter to split like blacks did. Well, what do I mean by this? What do you mean? You know, saying teacher, well, I'm going to tell you this. Over the course of the history of the United States as it's developed and what the citizens look like, conservative and Democratic Party have not become homogenous groups, meaning that it's not all white. The white ideology could stand, the white identification, proximity, whatever you want to call it, great. If you want to label it that, fine. But it's a belief system that's set in, and people of different ethnicities can take part in that. I hope y'all get this. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So, at the end of the day, they thought that Latinos would just go Democrat. But no, as they became American citizens, or many of them were already American citizens. That's another misidentification, is that, oh, just because they Mexican, they not from here. No, there are many Mexicans that were here already. So, in their communities, when they said this works better for me, or I don't like this, or I want to hold on to these values, just like many black people who lean more conservatively, over time, it isn't hard for them to vote. It isn't hard for them to vote conservative, even if they're labeled as racist, even if it's racist over there. It doesn't matter, because we believe in the core things of what they believe in. No different than if you lean more the Democratic way, you may not necessarily believe in some of the alternative things over there, but you will support it. That's just how it is. So these places look very different now. So the Democrats thought that they could come and sucker those Latinos in to say, hey, we helped you be here. That was their ignorance of not understanding the real demographic. And guess what happened? In very high numbers, they went conservative. I think there were still more of them that went liberal, but a very high number of them went conservative along with everyone else. So but now you have this situation where you've allowed the bodies in here, this very high illegal count, and you want to use that to your best interest. So I'm gonna say this: these are the 4 years that Trump needs to get his thing together. I voted for Trump, but you know what? He's cutting food, rent assistance, school funding for predominantly black and Latino neighborhoods, giving rich folks tax breaks. He's cutting our school lunch. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and this is me as a black person talking that grew up in the ghetto. We've always, some of these people, I'm just gonna be honest, they've been in the projects 30 years. They need to cut it. We'll figure it out. Black people have always figured it out. And once we see that the jobs are hurting or our communities being hurt, then as American citizens, we can stand up and then take that to legislation. We can make a big deal about it and ask the federal government to do something about it. That's when the federal government is supposed to get involved. We don't have to riot and do none of that. We don't have to get out in the streets. No, because we're American citizens. Even the Latinos that are here, if you're an American citizen. Yes, listen. Yeah, this idea that black people are primarily on public assistance and Latinos at a high rate doesn't mean that, of course, within that community, it might be a high number if you're just looking at that one demographic. But there are a lot of white people on public aid, especially in the Midwest. You get into those homogenous towns where it's just poor people. There's a class issue as well. So some of those talking points aren't always magnificent to me. I think, again, to some degree, it's still race baiting. And I'm somebody who's black who's saying that. Like, let the people who these things bother, let them fix it. Yeah. Let like black people, we have our own issue. Latino Americans have their own issue. Do I think black brown political unity is great? Yes, under the umbrella of being American citizens, because we're already doing that. In the city of Houston, black and brown people get along. We really in this, man, we really, we kind of in one motion. That's not to say it's perfect, but we talk about being Texans. Of course, we talk Texas, and we might be Texas first, and then we say we American citizens. Nah, we Americans. We're citizens of the United States of America, but Texas is very much so a state in America. So we can say some shit like that. Texas, and we have flags. Every state has a flag that is allowed to be flown. You know what I'm saying? But this does not, again, this does not need to escalate into being a race issue. I don't think any of this is about race. And this is no disrespect to any other group. I don't want to play what y'all call the trauma Olympics, but ain't nobody had it worse than really the Native American. They got it the worst. And above that, black folks. And the reason why I say natives is because they just, oh man, they on those reservations. Sometimes they really have issues on their, with their land, stuff like that. All kind of abuse issues going on from what I've heard. They have there be a lot of issues with them. So the two groups that Anglo-Saxons subjugated the most, I mean, it's just what it is. So we're making it out of it, and we're overcoming things, and we're saying we want to operate a certain way. You need to pay attention. Yeah, you're right. It's a class issue, but they do target us renting food. Food is too high. Don't pay enough. I'm there with big chaos argument. Well, listen. Rent is high. Food is high. Don't you think that it's a wise idea for American citizens to say, we're going to support the government in a mass deportation, and we need to redistribute those jobs? How many contract sites? Listen, I'm just gonna talk real. Can I talk real? Can I talk real? And nobody, I mean, you may get offended, but don't try to report me because you don't like what I'm saying. But how is it that I could go to a Burger King in the United States of America and somebody is working there? Now they putting AI kiosks there. So that's not gonna matter. But how is it that I can go to the counter and talk to somebody that can't really speak English? Or the manager, there's one person in there that can speak English, but everybody else cannot speak English. I'm talking about they can't speak no English at all. How did they get a job? Don't you have to put, if you're an American citizen, don't you have to have a social security? How you get a bank account? Like, that's the shit that I be like, what's going on with that? How did you get this? How did you get this stuff? Like, how do you have an? This is why. Okay, this is why the Democrats don't want that voter ID to be a thing. That ain't got nothing to do with race, but who the loudest people that got up? Black people. Oh, it's about, man. You ain't got an ID. You are from America, dog. You ain't got an ID. It's not about you. It's about all these people that can come vote and not be ID'd. Okay, so you are racist because you see people having difficulty trying to live. That's not what racism means. That's not what racism means. That's not racism at all. Y'all are very much so misinformed on that. That's not what racism is. That's not racism. Racism is not what I'm talking about. Racism is when you have a group of people that are actually oppressing another ethnic group based off of their race. And they're putting their race as superior. That's racism. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of here. If you come in here saying stupid stuff, you gotta go. You gotta at least make some sense. If you gonna come and just talk, I'm gonna kick you out of here. Cause we talking real. It's a lot going on in the country, but we don't conceptualize what's happening because I'm finna knock this one out the park. And it's gonna take a lot, so you gotta bear with me. But I don't care. Everybody got the business. Everybody got on this live, and I don't even want to cook too much longer. I've been on here a minute, but y'all need to like, subscribe too. Y'all need to subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be talking about this tonight. I'm talking about Bill Cosby being the best example for the black family. Dr. Bill Cosby. I'm gonna talk about that tonight, 8:30 p.m. CST. That's what we got going on. I also post a programming schedule on my community, so y'all go be a part of that community. Here's why we got the issue. I'm gonna get y'all there. Y'all get them likes up. Let's get them likes up, man. Hit that like button. I'm finna tell you why we got the issue we got in regards to race. Y'all get them likes up. Get them likes up. The reason why we have what we got in this country with race is because the Anglo-Saxon has not come out and vehemently condemned it in the way he should, and have not made sure in certain spaces that is as diverse as it needs to be out of his own fear of a takeover. And I don't care if you don't like that answer, but it's true. And if you don't know who the Anglo-Saxon is, it's not my business to tell you. You need to go read up on history. Y'all get the likes up. Get them likes up. Come on, get them likes up. Get them likes up. Y'all get them likes up. Because he won't condemn racism, he may have internal conflict within his country. And he is going to have to, much like the Civil Rights era, come out and condemn racism in such a way that he makes it plain that those of us that are United States citizens, we are that. Now, it is said that he has done this and he has done enough. Surely he has. But his speech now must reflect that. He must do all he can in his power to show that he's welcoming to those of American citizenship, and even in some very way need to take care of those that don't have much within this country, much like they're trying to do for the illegal immigrant. So that's going to cover your black and brown people that are already here. That's what he must do, because what he has to do is create nationalism once again. There were black people in the 60s, although they were oppressed, had American flags up and John F. Kennedy next to Martin Luther King up in their living rooms. But that was very much so an American thing. So we must assume the role of being Americans. It must be told in such a way that we all understand that the concept of sundown towns and all that shit needs to end. Because it's not going to be about the color of your skin. It's going to be about what allegiance to the country that you have. Because if you don't do that, racism, once again, like it has done in the past, will confuse the masses. People won't know where they need to fight. We not fighting we not fighting against the Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon is an American. We not fighting against the African American. The African American is an American. The Latino American is American. We not fighting against American citizens. We're fighting against those that are not citizens. Y'all tune in tonight, 8:30 Central Standard Time. We're gonna still cover this. We're gonna get to some other sciences or whatever the case may be. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all go ahead and subscribe. We should be moving on. It's 2025. We should all be working together to get our government to take care of us. Yep. There's money going everywhere. There's money going all everywhere except for American citizens. There's money going everywhere except for American, and it needs to go here to American citizens. So that's my point. The Anglo-Saxon. Cause see, you can't, you gotta abbreviate. I'm not abbreviating white. I'm saying white. It's white, black, Hispanic. Like, we can't be afraid to say who we are here in this country if you are an American. That's just what the case is, dog. That's just what it is, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all this. My channel is really about talking about stuff like this and talking about politics, but I mainly cater it to American black people because I understand that American black people have issues that they need to repair. It is not up to anybody else. It is not up to the federal government at this point, because we have been extended all the rights necessary for all American citizens to have. The issues that we need to address are cultural, and we need people to speak out about those things. So when I have certain things that I'm talking about on this channel, it's in regards to that, because that is a part of American culture that needs to change. You're seeing this happen amongst Latinos. The Latinos that say, man, y'all need to chill. Yeah, I voted for Trump. Yeah, the likeness is just like this. They're just in another ethnic group, because we want people to understand what it's like to be an American, and at the same time hold your nuts and say, no, I'm not gonna let somebody pick on me because I look like this. I'm an American citizen. So you're seeing that conversation get very diverse. So there are people that know we have issues amongst low-income, impoverished communities, and there are intercultural issues that need to be fixed. And that's what we're going to do. But we are not going to let another country come in and wave flags and take over our country. We're just not going to do that. That's dangerous.